multiplying fractions and whole numbers. The first thing that I want you to understand before we actually dive in and do a few of these is why it works this way, and to understand a little bit of how this applies in real life. You probably recognize that if we say 1/2 times 4, multiplying is the same, or times here is the same as saying of. It means the same thing. 1/2 times 4, half of 4, same thing. Well, if you have 4 crackers and you want to give 2 of them to your friend, that makes sense that you're going to give your friend 2 of those. And so kind of showing you this quick example helps you to understand then why whenever you take 1/2 of 4, 1/2 times 4, you take 1/2 times 4 is the same as 4 over 1, and anytime you're multiplying fractions, you need to take numerator times numerator to get your top number, your numerator of your answer, and denominator times denominator. So here we have 4 over 2, and numerator divided by denominator means 4 goes inside the box, if you will, and 2 is what you're dividing by, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. But this up here is just to explain a little bit of why that works. Once you understand why that works, you don't want to have to draw a diagram every time. You just want to have some rules for being able to figure this out. So for this example, 5 times 4/5. 5 is the same as 5 over 1. And then applying that same rule, numerator times numerator gives you 20, and denominator times denominator gives you 5, and 20 divided by 5 is 4. So 4 would be your answer. Another thing real quickly back here that you could have done, anytime you have a problem like this and you're multiplying, if you have something in the numerator and denominator that could be reduced or simplified, you can take any numerator and pair that up with any denominator in a multiplication problem. So because I know that 5 over 5 is the same as 1, like 5 whole pieces of the pie out of 5 pieces means 1 whole pie, I know that I can cancel these or reduce these or simplify these. 5 divided by 5 is 1, 5 divided by 5 is 1, and then you could just jump to 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, and 4 over 1 is 4. So just some other little sub-lessons there on how to simplify within the problem before you multiply it out. This simplifying within sometimes makes it easier to get to your final answer. Here on this problem, applying that same thing, and feel free, by the way, to hit pause real quick and try this on your own, and then hit play again to see if indeed you got it correct. But 1/3 times, remember 4 is the same as 4 over 1, numerator times numerator gives you 4, denominator times denominator gives you 3, and so then you take 4 divided by 3, and you get 1 1/3. So 1 1/3 would be your answer there. Let's take a look at just a few more problems. 1/6 times 8. Using that thing that I showed you a minute ago of how you can reduce before you multiply. 1 over 6 times 8 over 1. I noticed that 8 and 6 are both divisible by 2. Remember, you can only do this reducing or this simplifying within the problem when you're multiplying, only when you're multiplying fractions. But in this case, you can say 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then very quickly you're going to get to your answer of 4/3, which we did on the previous page and got 1 1/3. For this next one, let's say you forgot how to do that simplification. Like, in other words, 14 and 6 are both divisible by 2, but let's say you forgot that. So worst case scenario, you go 14 over 6. You recognize that that's what we call an improper fraction, and so you go ahead and divide that out, and you get 2 2/6, which simplifies to 2 1/3. And finally, last one here, let's pretend that you do remember to go ahead and simplify within the problem. 4 divided by 4 is 1, 12 divided by 4 is 3, and you end up with 9 over 1, which is the same as 9. Worst case scenario, you forgot that. 3 times 12, numerator times numerator, is 36. 4 times 1 is 4, and 36 divided by 4, ta-da, is also 9. So it's pretty simple whenever you multiply fractions and whole numbers. You simply turn the whole number into a fraction by putting it over 1, and then the rule is simply numerator times numerator, get your answer, denominator times denominator, get your answer, and then of course if it can be simplified, go ahead and do that. That's all there is to it.